All right, so you're wondering how much it costs to live in Lancaster and Lancaster County, Pennsylvania. Well, this video is all about the cost of living in both Lancaster City and Lancaster County itself, so stay tuned. Hey there, and thanks so much for watching. My name is Matt Moore. I'm a local real estate agent here in the Lancaster area with Keller Williams, and this video is going to be all about the cost of living in Lancaster, Pennsylvania, and of course Lancaster County as well. Now, Lancaster City sits inside of Lancaster County, little bit of some differences, so we're going to be talking about those costs of living, the adjustments that you need to make once you get outside of the city limits, what you can expect in terms of transportation costs, healthcare costs, and things like that, and how it all compares to the national average. And make sure to hit that subscribe button and that little alarm bell to go along with it, because I'm going to be doing a lot more videos to come about Lancaster, Pennsylvania, Lancaster County itself, and I plan on doing more of those ahead, so you won't want to miss those. A lot of great information's coming. So I'll jump right into it. One of the best parts about living in Lancaster and Lancaster County is the fact that the housing prices are not very high. Now, we are geographically located close enough to New York City, Baltimore, Philadelphia, Washington, D.C., that it's easily a day trip can be done to any of those four big cities, but we're far enough away that we don't feel the influences of the big city life, like expensive housing. In fact, the housing prices and the cost of living when it comes to housing in Lancaster County and Lancaster, Pennsylvania itself is actually under what the national average is, and certainly lower than some of the surrounding counties and surrounding, of course, the big cities too. Let's talk about some of those numbers. In Lancaster County, the median house home value is around the low 200s, so about $210,000 to about $215,000. If you get into Lancaster City, that number goes even lower, only down to about $134,000. Now, when you compare that to the national average, well, that's lower, certainly, than the national average. And even on the county level, it is trailing the national average as well for median home value. So a little bit lower cost of living when it comes to those home values. Now, I will say, just in the last couple of years, Lancaster County and Lancaster, Pennsylvania has certainly trended more in a more expensive direction when it comes to housing, though it still remains below what is considered the national average, and still relative compared to some of the surrounding counties, surrounding big cities, is a far, far cheaper option. It is the East Coast after all. Now, when it comes to apartments and renting here in the Lancaster area, well, it's still a little bit affordable, but definitely trending upward, just like the home values are doing. There's a lot of new jobs coming into Lancaster, Pennsylvania, a lot of good paying jobs too, and that is leading to an influx of not only increasing buyers, but still limited inventories in both the rental market and the real estate market. That's both making all those numbers trend upward as of right now. So looking at some of those numbers here for a studio apartment, generally speaking, between the Lancaster Metro and the Lancaster area, it's around the low to mid $700 a month range. But once you start adding on a one-bedroom apartment, two-bedroom, three-bedroom, four-bedroom, as you can see, it does go up from a one-bedroom to just shy of $900 a month. Two-bedroom gets you over $1,000 a month, both in Lancaster Metro and also in the Lancaster area itself. Now, once we start talking about 3- and 4-bedroom apartments or places to rent, we're up in that $1,400, $1,500 a month type of range. And to be totally honest with you, that's comparable to some of the actual housing payments that you could get mortgage-wise for a home that's 3 or 4 bedrooms here in the area. Now, when it comes to the taxes and things like that, of course, when you're renting, you're not paying those directly. You're paying a landlord to pay those. But when you're owning a home, property taxes become a big deal. In fact, property tax is one of the bigger things, the sticking points, if you will, about living not only just in Lancaster, but in Pennsylvania in general. They are a little bit higher than the national average, and in some cases much higher than some other locations. So just be aware of that. And if you're looking at those Zillow numbers about what the Z estimates or what the monthly estimated cost might be, that number is probably wrong for any property located in the state of Pennsylvania. You want to look at the tax history to get the true number of what it's looking like in that particular house. So When it comes to utility costs, well, it's two different boats. If you're renting an apartment, it's going to be lower than, say, if you were owning a home. On average in the United States, renting an apartment can run you about $100 to $150 per month for utilities, but homeowners generally can budget closer to about $400 a month. Now, of course, that is an average. Some people a little bit less, some people a little bit more, depending on the size of the house that you are going to be purchasing and then living in. But generally speaking, Lancaster's a little higher than the national average, but not by much. It's very close to what is considered the national average. So if anything, I would say maybe $125 a month to $175 a month if you were renting, and perhaps if you were buying it somewhere in the ballpark of around the low $400 a month, again, give and take, depending on the size of the home that you'll be in. Now, one of my favorite things about living in Lancaster, Pennsylvania is the fact that you can have city life and rural life all within a very, very short drive of each other, and sometimes even kind of mixing together. It sounds weird, but is definitely one of those unique places on the planet where those two ecosystems coexist. Now, Lancaster City has all of the restaurants, the breweries, the entertainment that you could possibly imagine, all of the things to do, a great place for all of those things, but even a 5-10 minute drive outside of city limits, and you're moving into an area where it is very rural. The Amish community is very prevalent here, and that means you can get farm-to-table food directly, and you're getting it directly from the farmers themselves, and it does not cost a lot. There are many markets, fruit stands, food stands, everything you can imagine just outside of those city limits that hardly cost anything that you would see in the grocery store at all, because you are dealing with those farmers and those people that are growing that food directly. And you can get great deals on not only veggies and fruit, but also into meats and milk, eggs, cheese, all of those kinds of things you can get fantastic deals on, especially as you go from the spring into the summer months and even into the fall as well. Now, when it comes to transportation, Lancaster does have a pretty extensive busing network that not only goes within the city, but also outside of the city as well, transporting to and from the city limits themselves. Now, if you're thinking about possibly not taking the bus and you want to be doing a commuting via car, definitely doable. Just keep in mind that here in Pennsylvania actually has one of the higher gas taxes in the entire country. As you look at this Gas Buddy map, you can see, especially as you go, going east of the Central Plains, well, you get into this zone, especially toward Pennsylvania, where those gas prices, they start to go up. However, in Lancaster itself, in Lancaster County, Lancaster City, the prices aren't all that unreasonable when it comes to comparing to some of the other areas in Pennsylvania. And generally speaking, as I'm recording this is May of 2020, in the middle of the coronavirus pandemic. The gas prices are below $2 a gallon, so definitely doable, definitely affordable, just not as cheap as some of those other places that you're seeing less than $1 a gallon across the country. So just keep that in mind. The gas taxes in the state of Pennsylvania, not just Lancaster, but in the entire Commonwealth, are a little higher than what you would see in some of the surrounding states. Another great thing about living in the Lancaster area is the access to healthcare. The healthcare in this area is so good that U.S. News has actually determined that Lancaster County is one of the best places for retirees, and that was a huge factor in their determination. In fact, last year, Lancaster County was the #1 spot. This year, it's #3 out of the entire country. So that tells you the quality of healthcare that we have here in the Lancaster area. Now, with quality comes a little bit more of an expense. Healthcare is a little bit more expensive here in Lancaster and the surrounding area than it is on the national average, but it's definitely something you want to keep in mind as you are planning on relocating or moving to the Lancaster area. Now, lastly, let's talk about the food scene here in the Lancaster area. Now, Lancaster City itself, very unique restaurants that you will not find anywhere else on the planet. In fact, it has been growing so quickly over the last several years, it feels like every time I check the news, there's a new couple of great restaurants that are opening up in downtown, also attributed to the fact that there is pretty big job growth that's happening within the bounds of Lancaster itself. A lot of great companies moving in, attracting a lot of great entrepreneurs to open up these restaurants. Now, of course, there's the breweries that go along with that, the great lounges and bars, entertainment, and all of those things. But there are also some fantastic restaurants that are local to Lancaster County that are popping up all over the outskirts of the city and in some of the more rural areas as well. And if you want to talk about great food You can't really go wrong with any of these restaurants, farm to table. And the prices are affordable too. If you were a family of 4 going out and it's not to one of those chain restaurants, you can probably expect to spend maybe a little bit less than $50 at dinner. Now, of course, that depends on what you order and things like that, and the price can certainly go up as you go to some of the fancier restaurants in Lancaster itself. You can easily spend in some areas, some of the restaurants, over $100 for a family of 4 to eat. But generally speaking, that's not the case. It is affordable food, it's good food, and it is a great time, lots of entertainment to do in Lancaster. So I hope that gives you an idea of what it's like to live in terms of the cost of living in Lancaster and Lancaster County itself. It's a fantastic place to live. If you have any questions at all, whether it comes from housing, of course, I'm a real estate agent. I can certainly answer the housing questions for you, but just being a resident here who has lived here a very long time and grown a family here, this is one of the most awesome places to be. Truly, I really do feel that way. And again, the stats do back that up as well. Now, if you have any questions at all, just drop them in the comment section. I'd be happy to answer them. And you can always reach me. I'll leave my contact information in the description as well. Text me, call me, email me, whatever the case is for you. If you have any questions, I'm here to answer them for you. I look forward to connecting soon if you are relocating. And don't forget to enjoy Lancaster if you make it out here. Let me know that you're going to swing by. I'll give you a couple of good places to check out as you are out and about. And of course, keep an eye out for more of those videos as they are still to come. So stay tuned.